Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to take a look at a launch OBD2 scan tool. This is the first launch product that I've had on the channel, and it's the first launch product that I've personally had the chance to use. It's the X431 CRP919E Bidirectional scan tool. And let's open it up and take a look at it. So in the case, we've got the scan tool itself, which we'll take a look at here in a second. And then on this end of the case, a couple levers. Got a user manual and another manual of some sort. And then we've got, we'll look in here, we've got the OBD2 cord. There's a power brick in here. All right, so in the plastic bag here, they have a power brick for different regions of the world that you can change out, different style plugs. Comes with the data cable itself. This is a corded scan tool. And notice right here, I'll show you right here right now, we'll get into it later, but it does say DOIP on this OBD2 cable. And then also it comes with a charging brick for North America, standard charging brick, and a USB-A to USB-C cable. And let's get the scan tool hooked up and let's check it out. And it also comes with a bunch of silicone gel, for all your desiccant needs. So the scan tool itself kind of reminds me of a Snap-on. It's a red face with the black trim around it. It is a 7-inch touchscreen, but it's got these physical buttons over here on the right. These are like rubberized membrane buttons. And this is the first tablet-style scan tool that I've looked at that has physical buttons. So that's going to be nice. It is full touchscreen, but you've got the choice of using physical buttons, which I think that's pretty cool. And then up on top, you've got your data port plug, the USB-C charging port, a power button, and then on the back you've got a camera with a flash and a kickstand, which is very sturdy. It does not, it's pretty nice. And it feels very well made. It's a really sturdy, there's no flex to it at all, so it's pretty well built. Let's get it plugged in and turned on, and we'll check it out. So before we get into this any farther, there's a few specs that I want to mention here, and I'll put these up on the screen so you can see them. It does have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. It operates on 10.0 Android. It has 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of ROM. It's a 7-inch touchscreen. It has a 6100 milliamp hour battery. It comes with 2 years of free updates. It supports the new protocols of CAN, FD, and DOIP. Now, although I do not see an Ethernet port on this scan tool, and I was under the impression that to get DOIP, which stands for Diagnostics over Internet Protocol, that it would have to have an Ethernet port, like your standard networking cable that you would use to plug your computer to your router, or any type of standard Cat5 networking cable with RJ45 ends on it. But apparently, they're able to get DOIP over a OBD2 cable. I'm not a DOIP expert. There's not too many vehicles that I know of that have that yet. It's a fairly new deal. So maybe some of you guys out there know more about it than me. Let me know down in the comments how that works out with DOIP over a standard OBD2 cable. Moving on. So it's auto auth capable for the FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automobile Secure Gateway. At the time of this filming, I will have answers for this down in the comments section below. The manufacturer's warranty on the website says it's 5 years. Most other scan tools that I look at have a 2-year warranty, so if this does indeed have a 5-year warranty, I would be very impressed. I will have the answer to that in the video description down below, so be sure to check that out. And also the annual update price after the first 2 years. I don't know the price of that. I suspect it's $200 per year, but it could be less. I will have the official answer to that also down in the video description below. CRP919E is comparable to the Xtool D7 and the Autel 808 series. As of, I believe it was July 1st last year, the Autel company gave their 808 series a bunch of updates and gave them FCA auto-auth ability, and they also gave them actuation tests and bidirectional control. And then shortly thereafter, about a month later, Xtool gave the D7 that big update to include those same functions that Autel just provided on the 808 a month earlier. And so this scan tool here would be the launch version of a D7 or an Autel 808. Not all 808s. There are some 808s that have extra features and that are out of the price range of these tools, like the TPMS, full function TPMS system and whatnot. But your standard 808 and your standard D7 would be comparable to this tool. And then lastly, this new CRP919E is an upgraded version of the older CRP909E. The 909 version was launched 3 years ago. This new CRP919E was just launched about 6 months ago, as of the recording date of this video. So let's get into it here. This is, it's a launch. Like I said earlier, it's the first launch that I've had a chance to use and try out. And I like it so far. It's got a different flow and a different menu structure than the scan tools that I've been familiar with in the past. So, but I like it so far. It's pretty easy to use. And one thing they've got on here, let's look at this first, battery voltage. If you click that, it gives you a chart with battery voltage. So if you got any electrical problems whatsoever, you can just plug in and go right to that first, and it'll tell you your voltage over time. And of course, it doesn't change. I got this vehicle, it's running, so we're at just over 14 volts there. Another thing here, you've got your inspection and monitors shortcut right here. This will tell you if which monitors have ran and which ones have not. Takes a second to get into. Here we go. So it'll tell you if you have any diagnostic trouble codes. It'll tell you your battery voltage. It tells you your CAN protocol, and then all of your monitors here, whether they've ran or if they've not been completed, or if your vehicle even has them. There are some listed on here that this car doesn't have. It'll generate a report. This is handy for, some states, actually I believe it's probably most states, have emissions testing every year or every 2 years. And a lot of those states won't even run the emissions test if the monitors haven't ran yet. So if you go in to get an emissions test, it's nice to know if everything is, because they're going to check this. So it's nice to know when you go in for an emissions test if everything's ready to go before you go down for your test. But we can go back here. We'll go back. Okay, so we got the mall. If you click on the mall, now the scan tool needs internet for this, and I do have internet connected through my cell phone. Last video I did, I had a problem where I was using the cell phone for internet and to control my camera. I got a different setup now, so we should be good to go here. But you can see there's different softwares on here, which none of this really applies, I don't believe, to anything that you would work on here in the U.S. But if you go over here to configure renewal, here's where if you wanted to buy an update for this thing after the first couple of years, this is where you would renew. And here it does say $199.42 for renewal. So that must be the update fee per year. But you do get 2 years free. And then, of course, settings. You've got screen capture. You could turn that on and do a screen recording. Automatic detection on Connect. This has if you turn that function on there, if you toggle that on, when you first plug your data cable into the vehicle's DLC port, it'll automatically start doing a VIN search, and it gets connected to the vehicle within seconds. And then once it's connected to the vehicle, it automatically just starts doing a full system scan. So all you have to do is turn the scan tool on and plug it in, and within a few minutes, you've got a complete scan, and you got all the trouble codes within the vehicle. So that's pretty handy. I've not ran into that in any other scan tool before, where it just automatically does it from the start if you turn that on. And but we'll go down here to data. So if you want to click diagnostic, these are the two different reports that have generated since I've ran the auto scan on this vehicle. And cloud report, there's nothing in the cloud over there. We'll go back here to local reports. You've got a diagnostic trouble code library. You've got a firmware fix. If the VCI, the vehicle connection interface, doesn't seem to be working properly, you can do a firmware fix for that. Everything on this one seems to be fine. You get your basically your library or your gallery of pictures right there. It would be if you took any pictures. This one says diagnostic record. I did a recording earlier when I was testing. When you're looking at live data, you can click record. And when you're on a test drive, let's say, you can record the PIDs that you're looking at so that you can play them back and watch them again in case you miss something on your test drive. So for fun, I pulled up all 4 wheel speed sensors and I did a short recording. Oh, well, let's click all 4 here and I'll click play. So I've clicked play and you can see that they're sitting across the bottom there. There, I sped it up. Slow it down. Let me speed this up because I drove it for a few blocks. And generally, all 4 speed sensors are showing the same thing. But occasionally, you'll see I'll slow down, I'll make a turn. Well, then the 2 wheels on the outside of a curve are going to be going faster than the 2 wheels on the inside of a radius. So you'll see a little variation there when I turn a corner. And then at some point here, I get on some ice and I'm able to spin my tires. And you can see on this 2-wheel drive, front-wheel drive car that 2 of the wheel speed sensors showed, acceleration and 2 of them didn't. I think I turned a corner right there. And then eventually coming up here, right towards the end, you'll see I spun the tires on some ice and you'll be able to see the couple of the tires sped up a couple times and 2 of them didn't. So all 4 wheel speed sensors are doing what they're supposed to. Let's go back. That's what's in there in the data. And of course we got OBD2. And this thing will go through and scan. It'll find the proper protocol that your vehicle uses. And it'll give you, there again, it'll shows 8 monitors completed, not completed 0. Gives you type of protocol. Launch calls these resets. Xtool calls these special functions. I think Autel calls them service functions. But if you go in there, you can see you've got air fuel reset, oil reset, steering angle sensor, battery, ABS. See this ABS bleeding? That's not a reset. That's basically a procedure. Throttle relearn, TPMS reset, EGR data. You got all the different. I think they claim there's 31, but that's all for marketing because not all 31 are going to work on every vehicle. And then, of course, upgrade. That's where you go to, it's going to go online and check. I've already updated it earlier today. And all the updates all the software is up to date. It's just one touch, just one touch. But all the software is up to date. But if there wasn't, there'd be one up here. You could just click on it, click update, or select all. You could leave this thing for a week or 2 and come back to it, and there could be potentially, a bunch of updates. It's not like they only update it once a year. That's kind of, I think, a common misconception on people who are not familiar with scan tools, that they only update it when new models come out. Well, that's not true. They're constantly updating the current software to perfect it and streamline it and, tune and tweak the software to get things working, to their optimum. So there's always little fixes and patches and that are constantly coming out throughout the year. And then, of course, they do send out the new models every year, but there's always dozens of little updates in between. So, and then lastly, we can go to the diagnose. Now here, like I said, if you had that option turned on to do the auto connect when you first plug it in, it would go right past this. But you can either do auto detect, or you can search by, model or whatever if you wanted to. Or you can go to this tab over here. Here's all the different times that I've connected this scan tool to this car. And so instead of having to go through and do a scan for the VIN number like you're plugging into it for the first time, if you just go to history and click, quick access, it pretty much takes you just right back into it already knows what vehicle you're on or plugged into, so you don't have to answer a bunch of questions. It just gets you right back into the vehicle. So here we go. So we can do a health report, and it's going to start doing a scan. But in the meantime, let's go into it like we're going to go into it for the first time. We'll click it's not an EV, it's standard Kia. That's correct. That's all correct. Now immediately it just starts going into the full system scan here. And this actually runs through here fairly quickly, but I will speed it up a little bit in editing so we don't have to wait through the whole thing. Okay, so it pops up with a diagnostic report. And if you scroll down, it will show you over here if there was any diagnostic trouble codes, and you could click on each one of them and it would expand and tell you what was wrong. This car doesn't have any codes, so everything says normal. And you could share that. It automatically saves it, but you could share it if you wanted to. I would imagine so here you can put in an email address and a message and nickname and hit send. So you can send it that way. There's where you would clear codes if you needed to. Let's go back. Okay, so then we can do system selection. Each one of these is a module within the vehicle. And obviously the one that's going to have the most information would be the engine control module. So let's look in there. And then you've got for bidirectional type control, you've got your actuation tests and your special functions. Now you can read the data stream. This would be all the data PIDs in the engine control module. So every one of these, you can click barometric pressure, battery voltage. We're just going to take some, for example here. And I know I'm scrolling through these quick. I had a guy yell at me because I scrolled too quick, but unless you're plugged into the same vehicle I am, I'm sure you're going to see different PIDs on whatever vehicle you're plugged into. Engine coolant temperature, engine oil temperature. All right, I think we got enough. So we'll just do OK. And it pulls those up, and it gives them to us. We can either look at them as text, or we can click a graph. Battery voltage 12.6, engine cooled temperature 207, engine oil temperature 206. Let's try the physical back button here. And I can scroll through the different data PIDs with the buttons here. I kind of like that. Press and hold. Go through them quickly. And there's engine speed. So I can click OK, and it highlighted that red circle. So now if we go back to the live data list here, it'll give us our engine speed. Rev it up a little bit there. Let's graph that. All right, we'll go back. Let's see what it has for actuation tests. Not terribly familiar with. Okay, so there's no actuation tests for this vehicle. So for special functions, you can reset adaptive values. You can write a VIN number. It must be if you have to replace a computer or something. Read the VIN, evap, leakage test, CVVD learning, integrated thermal module, coolant filling mode, auto-detected configuration reset. Not sure what much of that is on this vehicle. I've never had to work on it. It's newer than most stuff that I work on. So, but, so we're back to the menu where we clicked originally where it said system selection. If we go down one, we click special function. This is going to scan the entire vehicle and give us a full list. It's 23% of scanning. This is going to give us a full list of all the special functions that you can do on this vehicle. Basically bidirectionally controlling something, or writing a VIN, or whatever the case may be. It's going to scan the whole vehicle and give us a list of everything we can do. Some transmission control stuff and some ABS stuff. Of course, you got brake pad change mode for the rear parking brake, or for the rear brake pads. Air compressor test. AC compressor test. We'll exit out of it. We'll completely exit out and go back to the home screen here. I don't want to make this video too long. Anyway, guys, that's just a basic demonstration of the Launch CRP919E. It's the new version made to compete with the X-Tool D7 and the Autel 808 series of tools. I like it. I really like the physical buttons. I didn't think I would like that, but I do. Another nice thing, and this is common with most corded scan tools, is you can see the charge light is on here, and you can see the charge indicator there. There's pros and cons to corded or cordless scan tools, and of course, one of the nice things is you don't really have to worry about how big the battery is in a corded scan tool, because it's constantly charging from the DLC through the OBD2 data cable and into the tablet. So it's always charging. Most corded scan tools are that way. Like I said, it's the first Launch scan tool that I've had the pleasure to test and try out. But I do know that a lot of guys have these. If you go on various tool forums and websites and whatnot, there's a lot of people with Launch products. So if you're in the market for a scan tool of this level, be sure to check this one out. This may just be what you're looking for. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for now. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.